What if the Great Pyramid of Giza isn't what you've been told it is? For over 4,000 years, this structure has dominated the Egyptian desert. Official archaeology presents it as a tomb, a monument to vanity, built by thousands of workers dragging stones up ramps. But evidence buried in forgotten archives tells a different story. Documents that were classified, measurements that were suppressed, discoveries that threatened accepted history. When archaeologists find something that contradicts the official narrative, it disappears. When engineers detect anomalies that shouldn't exist, their findings get locked away. The Great Pyramid contains secrets, 10 specific secrets that have been hidden from public knowledge. Some were discovered decades ago and buried. Others were found recently and immediately classified. Each one challenges what we think we know about ancient Egypt. These aren't theories. These are documented discoveries made by credible researchers, findings that were photographed, measured, and analyzed, then removed from public access. Today, we're examining 10 secrets hidden inside the Great Pyramid. Evidence that's been suppressed. Technology that shouldn't exist. Chambers that weren't supposed to be there. Each discovery raises questions that establishment archaeology refuses to answer. Fair warning, this evidence contradicts everything you learned in school. The official story about ancient Egypt starts to crumble when you see what's really inside that structure. But the truth is always worth finding, even when powerful institutions work hard to keep it hidden. Let's examine what's really inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. Number 1 is the void they tried to keep quiet. In 2017, an international team made a discovery that changed everything. Using muon radiography, they detected something impossible: a massive hidden space deep inside the pyramid. This wasn't a small gap. This was a void at least 100 feet long, positioned directly above the Grand Gallery, the same dimensions, the same angle, as if someone designed it that way. The technology doesn't lie. Muon particles from cosmic rays pass through stone. Dense material slows them down. Empty space doesn't. The team collected data for over 2 years, multiple detection stations, millions of muon tracks analyzed. The void is there. No question about it. Egyptian authorities immediately downplayed the discovery, called it natural settlement, claimed it was just gaps between stones. But the data shows something very different. This is a structured space. Deliberate architecture, not random gaps. Dr. Kunihiro Morishima led the research, a particle physicist from Nagoya University. His team published their findings in the journal Nature, peer-reviewed, scientifically validated. The void exists. Here's where things get interesting. Egyptian officials blocked all follow-up investigation. No drilling, no cameras, no further scanning. The Supreme Council of Antiquities shut it down completely. Why? If this is just empty space from settlement, why prevent investigation? If it's nothing important, what's the harm in looking? The resistance suggests something different. They know what's in there, and they don't want anyone else to find out. Independent researchers have proposed multiple theories. Some suggest it's another burial chamber. Others think it could be a construction space. A few believe it might contain technology. But nobody's allowed to look. The discovery was announced. Then investigation stopped. The void remains hidden, just sitting there. 100 feet of empty space that official archaeology insists doesn't matter. Except it does matter. Because this wasn't the only void detected. The scanning revealed multiple anomalies. Spaces that shouldn't exist according to accepted pyramid design. Each one immediately classified. Each discovery suppressed. Pattern emerging yet? Number 1 is the void they tried to keep quiet. In 2017, an international team made a discovery that changed everything. Using muon radiography, they detected something impossible: a massive hidden space deep inside the pyramid. This wasn't a small gap. This was a void at least 100 feet long, positioned directly above the Grand Gallery, the same dimensions, the same angle, as if someone designed it that way. The technology doesn't lie. Muon particles from cosmic rays pass through stone. Dense material slows them down. Empty space doesn't. The team collected data for over 2 years, multiple detection stations, millions of muon tracks analyzed. The void is there. No question about it. Egyptian authorities immediately downplayed the discovery, called it natural settlement, claimed it was just gaps between stones. But the data shows something very different. This is a structured space. Deliberate architecture, not random gaps. Dr. Kunihiro Morishima led the research, a particle physicist from Nagoya University. His team published their findings in the journal Nature, peer-reviewed, scientifically validated. The void exists. Here's where things get interesting. Egyptian officials blocked all follow-up investigation. No drilling, no cameras, no further scanning. The Supreme Council of Antiquities shut it down completely. Why? If this is just empty space from settlement, why prevent investigation? If it's nothing important, what's the harm in looking? The resistance suggests something different. They know what's in there, and they don't want anyone else to find out. Independent researchers have proposed multiple theories. Some suggest it's another burial chamber. Others think it could be a construction space. A few believe it might contain technology. But nobody's allowed to look. The discovery was announced. Then investigation stopped. The void remains hidden, just sitting there. 100 feet of empty space that official archaeology insists doesn't matter. Except it does matter. Because this wasn't the only void detected. The scanning revealed multiple anomalies. Spaces that shouldn't exist according to accepted pyramid design. Each one immediately classified. Each discovery suppressed. Pattern emerging yet? Number 3 is the shaft they don't want investigated. In 1993, German robotics engineer Rudolf Gantenbrink sent a small robot up one of the narrow shafts in the Queen's chamber. The shaft angles upward at 40 degrees. Too small for humans. Only 8 inches square. The robot climbed 200 feet. Then it hit something unexpected. A limestone door with copper handles. Ancient copper. Corroded green with age. But designed with purpose. Handles on a door that no human could reach. Here's where it gets strange. Gantenbrink wanted to continue investigating. Egyptian authorities told him to stop. His permit was revoked. He was escorted out of the pyramid. His footage was confiscated. His research materials seized. Why? If it's just an empty shaft ending at a wall, what's the concern? If there's nothing beyond that door, why prevent investigation? The extreme reaction suggests something different. They know what's behind that door, and they're working hard to keep it hidden. Years later, Egyptian officials finally allowed another robot through. They drilled a small hole in the limestone door, inserted a camera. Brief footage shows another space, another door. Then the feed cut out. The official statement? Nothing of significance was found. Empty space. Dead end. Move along. But researchers who analyzed the brief footage noticed something. Before the camera cut out, it captured metallic objects, reflective surfaces, geometric shapes, there for just a few frames, then gone. Egyptian authorities classified all footage as cultural heritage protection, banned further investigation, declared the shaft exploration complete. Case closed. Independent Egyptologists have requested access for decades. Every request denied. The shaft remains off limits. The door stays closed. Whatever lies beyond it continues to be protected by official secrecy. Researchers have proposed theories. Some believe it's a hidden chamber containing sacred objects. Others think it might be a passageway to undiscovered sections. A few suggest the copper handles indicate electrical components. But nobody's allowed to find out. The discovery was made. The door was found. Then investigation stopped. The shaft remains sealed. The secret protected. The pattern continues. Number 4 involves the granite boxes that defy explanation. Inside the king's chamber sits a massive granite sarcophagus, carved from a single block of red Aswan granite. No lid, no inscriptions, no evidence it ever held a body. The dimensions are precise. The corners are perfect right angles. The surfaces are smooth, within thousandths of an inch. This level of precision requires advanced machinery, diamond-tipped tools, computer-controlled cutting. Ancient Egyptians supposedly used copper saws and sand as abrasive. Copper is soft, sand is irregular. These tools cannot produce the precision found in that granite box. Materials engineers have confirmed this repeatedly. Christopher Dunn, a precision machinist with 40 years' experience, analyzed the sarcophagus extensively. He found tool marks indicating high-speed cutting, parallel striations spaced consistently, evidence of tubular drilling that removed material faster than modern methods. The granite itself is nearly impossible to work with. It's one of the hardest stones on Earth, contains quartz crystals that shatter primitive tools, requires industrial diamond bits to cut effectively. Yet ancient Egyptians supposedly carved it with copper and sand. Here's another problem. The sarcophagus is wider than the pyramid's passages. It couldn't have been brought in after construction. It had to be installed during building, which means the entire pyramid was designed around this specific granite box. Why? If it's just a tomb, why build the entire structure around an empty box? If it's ceremonial, why no decorations or inscriptions? Every other Egyptian sarcophagus includes elaborate hieroglyphics. This one? Completely plain. Similar boxes exist in other pyramids. The Serapeum at Saqqara contains 24 massive granite boxes, each weighing 70 tons, each carved with impossible precision, each completely empty, no bodies. No evidence of burial. Official archaeology says they're sarcophagi, tombs for sacred bulls, but no bull remains were ever found inside them. No bones, no residue, nothing. Just perfectly carved granite boxes sitting in underground chambers. The precision suggests purpose. The effort required indicates importance. The lack of decoration implies function over ceremony. These boxes were built for something specific, something that had nothing to do with burial. But asking what that purpose was gets you dismissed, gets you labeled fringe, gets your research credentials questioned. Establishment archaeology has decided these are tombs. Evidence suggesting otherwise gets ignored. Number 5 is the electromagnetic anomaly. They keep quiet. In 1933, French hardware store owner Antoine Bovis visited the Great Pyramid. Inside the king's chamber, he noticed dead animals. Cats, rats, bats, perfectly preserved. No decomposition, no smell, mummified naturally in the dry air. He brought organic samples home, built a scale model of the pyramid, placed similar samples inside at the equivalent height of the king's chamber. Same result. No decay, natural mummification. Something about the pyramid's geometry was preserving organic matter. Bovis spent years researching this effect. He discovered it wasn't just preservation. Plants grew faster near pyramid shapes. Seeds sprouted quicker. Food stayed fresh longer. The geometry itself seemed to concentrate or amplify some kind of energy. Czech radio engineer Karel Dirkdebal replicated the experiments. He documented everything scientifically, published results, even received a patent for a pyramid-shaped razor blade sharpener based on this effect. Patent number 91,304, officially recognized by the Czech government. The effect is real. It's been replicated hundreds of times. Pyramid geometry does something to the space inside it, something measurable, something useful. Modern researchers with electromagnetic equipment have detected unusual readings inside the Great Pyramid. Concentrated electromagnetic fields at specific locations, particularly in the king's chamber, particularly near that granite box. The granite itself is piezoelectric. It generates electricity when compressed. The massive weight of the pyramid creates constant pressure on the granite chambers. Constant electricity generation. Low level, but measurable. Some researchers believe the pyramid was designed as a power plant. The shafts were waveguides. The chambers were resonance chambers. The granite boxes were energy collectors. The entire structure functioned as a massive electromagnetic device. Establishment science dismisses this completely, says it's pseudoscience, claims the electromagnetic readings are natural background radiation, insists the pyramid shape effect is coincidence. But the patents exist. The measurements exist. The replicated experiments exist. Dismissing evidence doesn't make it disappear. It just keeps it hidden from mainstream knowledge. Egyptian authorities banned all electromagnetic testing inside pyramids in 2012. No equipment allowed, no measurements permitted. The official reason? Protection of ancient structures. The real reason? Preventing discovery of what those structures actually do. Number 6 involves water erosion that shouldn't exist. Geologist Dr. Robert Schoch conducted extensive analysis of the Sphinx enclosure. What he found contradicts accepted Egyptian chronology completely. The limestone walls showed deep vertical erosion patterns. Water erosion, not wind, not sand, water. This matters because the last time the Giza Plateau experienced rainfall heavy enough to cause this erosion was 7,000 to 9,000 years ago. The Sphinx is officially dated to 2500 BC. About 4,500 years ago, that's a discrepancy of several thousand years. Either the Sphinx is much older than claimed, or Egypt experienced a climate change not mentioned in any historical records. The Great Pyramid shows similar evidence. The limestone casing stones that remain display water weathering. The mortar between stones contains salt deposits from water exposure. The base of the structure shows water damage, not from flooding, from sustained exposure to moisture. Egyptian climate has been extremely arid for the past 5,000 years. Minimal rainfall, harsh desert conditions. Yet the structures show extensive water weathering. The evidence contradicts the timeline. Schoch presented his findings to the American Association for the Advancement of Science. Geological analysis is his specialty. He's identified water erosion on ancient structures worldwide. His credentials are solid. His methodology is sound. Egyptian authorities rejected his conclusions completely, refused to allow further geological surveys, banned him from conducting research at Giza. His findings were labeled controversial, his reputation attacked, his evidence dismissed. But geology doesn't lie. Water erosion has distinctive patterns. Wind and sand create horizontal weathering. Water creates vertical channels. The Sphinx enclosure shows vertical channels, deep ones, carved by sustained water flow. If accepted, this evidence pushes Egyptian civilization back thousands of years, suggests an advanced culture existed before recorded history, implies knowledge was lost and later rediscovered, challenges everything taught about human development. So it gets buried, gets dismissed as misidentification, gets labeled fringe geology, but the erosion remains, carved in stone. Physical evidence that contradicts official timelines. Independent researchers have documented similar water damage on other Giza monuments, the Valley Temple, the Sphinx Temple, the Causeway, all showing the same vertical erosion patterns, all officially dated to periods of extreme aridity. The pattern is clear. Evidence that challenges accepted history gets suppressed. Researchers who present it get silenced. The timeline stays protected. The narrative stays intact. Number 7 is the acoustic properties they don't discuss. In 1998, acoustic engineer John Reed conducted sound experiments inside the Great Pyramid. What he discovered suggests the structure was designed for specific acoustic purposes. The King's Chamber resonates at a fundamental frequency of 16 Hz. That's below human hearing range. Infrasound. But humans can feel it. It affects consciousness, alters brain waves, creates altered states of awareness. The chamber dimensions create a perfect acoustic space. Sound waves reflect and amplify at specific frequencies. The granite walls enhance these effects. Granite has natural resonance properties. The entire chamber functions as a giant resonating cavity. Reed tested this with equipment, generated tones at various frequencies, measured the response. The chamber amplified certain frequencies by factors of 10 or more. Specific tones became overwhelmingly powerful. Others disappeared completely. The granite box in the center amplifies these effects. Its dimensions match the chamber's resonant frequency. When sound at 16 Hz fills the room, the box vibrates sympathetically, creates standing waves. concentrates acoustic energy. Here's what makes this significant. Ancient Egyptian texts describe initiation chambers, places where initiates experienced divine revelation, encountered the gods, achieved enlightenment. These texts describe the experiences, but never reveal the locations. What if those initiation chambers were acoustically designed? What if specific sound frequencies triggered altered states? What if the pyramid wasn't a tomb, but a consciousness transformation device? Sound at certain frequencies affects human perception. Infrasound, below 20 Hz, causes anxiety, fear, and hallucinations. Specific frequencies induce relaxation, meditation, and euphoric states. The mechanisms are understood by modern neuroscience. The pyramid's acoustic design suggests sophisticated knowledge, understanding of sound physics, knowledge of human neurology, engineering specifically designed to affect consciousness through resonance. But this interpretation threatens the tomb narrative, suggests the pyramid had functional purposes beyond burial, implies ancient Egyptians possessed advanced scientific knowledge, so it gets dismissed, gets labeled speculation, gets removed from mainstream discussion. Egyptian authorities don't allow acoustic testing anymore. Too disruptive to the structure, they claim. But other explanations seem more likely. They don't want confirmation of what the pyramid actually does. Don't want evidence of its true purpose documented and published. The acoustic properties remain. Built into stone. Impossible to hide, but officially ignored. The chamber resonates, whether acknowledged or not. Number 8 involves the mathematical ratios encoded everywhere. The Great Pyramid contains the golden ratio, phi, 1.618. This ratio appears throughout nature, in spiral galaxies, in DNA structure, in human anatomy. It represents optimal proportion, perfect balance. The pyramid's slope angle of 51.8 degrees creates a golden ratio relationship between height and base, not approximately, exactly. This relationship wasn't discovered by Western mathematics until the Renaissance, yet it's built into a structure supposedly constructed 2,000 years earlier. The pyramid also encodes the dimensions of Earth. The ratio between the pyramid's perimeter and height matches the ratio between Earth's circumference and radius. Scale the pyramid up by 43,200 times, and you get Earth's dimensions. Precisely. This requires knowledge of Earth's size, accurate measurements of the planet's diameter, understanding of spherical geometry. Ancient Egyptians supposedly believed Earth was flat, yet they encoded its dimensions into their architecture. The pyramid's mass multiplied by a specific constant equals the mass of Earth. The pyramid's volume relationships mirror the relationship between the moon's volume and Earth's volume. These aren't approximate correlations. These are exact mathematical relationships. British astronomer Richard Proctor documented these relationships in the 1880s. He verified the measurements personally, checked the calculations repeatedly. The math works perfectly. The relationships are real. Mainstream archaeology calls this numerology, says humans see patterns where none exist, claims these mathematical relationships are coincidental, but statistics say otherwise. The probability of these relationships occurring by chance is astronomically small. The pyramid also demonstrates understanding of calculus. The surface area of each face equals the square of its height. This relationship requires integration, mathematical operations that weren't formalized until the 17th century, yet they're demonstrated in stone 2,000 years before Christ. Who possessed this knowledge? How did they acquire it? Why encode it in architecture? These questions remain unanswered, because asking them threatens established historical narratives, suggests knowledge transmission from unknown sources, implies lost civilizations or forgotten sciences. So the mathematical relationships get dismissed, get labeled coincidence, get excluded from mainstream Egyptology, but the ratios remain, built into the structure, verifiable by anyone with measuring equipment and a calculator. Independent researchers have found additional mathematical relationships. The pyramid encodes the speed of light in meters per second. Its coordinates match this number. It demonstrates the Fibonacci sequence. It incorporates complex geometric theorems. Each discovery gets dismissed. Each researcher gets marginalized. The pattern continues. Evidence that challenges accepted history disappears from official discourse. Number 9 is the construction method they can't replicate. Modern engineers cannot explain how the Great Pyramid was built. Official archaeology says workers dragged 2.3 million limestone blocks up ramps, each block weighing 2.5 tons on average, some weighing 70 tons. The tallest blocks positioned 480 feet high. The timeline makes this impossible. Egyptian records say the pyramid was completed in 20 years. That's 100,000 blocks per year, 274 blocks per day, 11 blocks per hour, 1 block every 5 minutes, 24 hours per day, for 20 years straight. Without machinery, without wheels, without iron tools, using copper implements and wooden sledges. In the desert, with primitive rope, the math doesn't work. The timeline can't be achieved with proposed methods. Engineer Christopher Dunn calculated the effort required. Moving, lifting, and precisely placing 1 block every 5 minutes requires coordination and technology beyond ancient capabilities. Modern construction cranes would struggle to match this pace, yet supposedly it was done with manual labor. The precision makes it worse. Each block fits so tightly that paper can't slide between them. No mortar in many sections, just perfect stone-to-stone contact. Each block custom cut to fit its specific position. Over 2 million unique pieces, all fitting perfectly. The foundation is level to within less than an inch across 13 acres, positioned precisely on true north. Each course of stones is level. Each corner is square. This accuracy requires surveying equipment and precise measuring instruments, tools that supposedly didn't exist. Modern attempts to replicate pyramid construction have all failed. A Japanese team tried in 1978. They used modern equipment, steel cables, cranes, pulleys. They attempted to build a small pyramid, 35 feet tall. They couldn't complete it, gave up after discovering the methods didn't work. Other teams have tried. All failed to replicate the precision. All struggled with the basic physics. Moving and lifting massive stones with primitive tools proves impossible in practice. The proposed methods don't work, yet the pyramid stands, built to tolerances modern engineers respect. This suggests technology, methods we don't understand, techniques that have been lost. But suggesting this gets you labeled fringe, gets your engineering credentials questioned, gets you dismissed from serious discussion. Egyptian authorities don't allow reconstruction experiments at Giza anymore, don't permit testing of lifting methods, don't authorize investigation of how specific blocks were moved. The official explanation is protection of the site. The real reason seems different. They don't want confirmation that accepted methods don't work. The construction remains impossible to explain. The methods remain unknown. The technology remains mysterious. But officially, it's all been figured out. Ramps and copper tools, case closed. Number 10 is the subterranean chamber nobody discusses. Beneath the Great Pyramid lies a chamber carved directly into bedrock. Official archaeology mentions it briefly, calls it unfinished, says construction stopped for unknown reasons, then focuses attention on the chambers above. But this chamber isn't unfinished. It's precisely carved. The walls are smooth. The floor is level. The ceiling is deliberately designed. Nothing about it suggests abandonment or incomplete work. It suggests intentional construction for a specific purpose. The chamber sits 100 feet below the pyramid's base, accessed by a descending passage that drops at 26 degrees, narrow, low, uncomfortable, not designed for casual access, designed to keep people away. The chamber itself is strange. Part of it is carved perfectly rectangular. Part extends into rough tunnels heading different directions. One tunnel dead ends after 50 feet. Another continues into darkness beyond mapping, both carved through solid bedrock. Why? If this was just an abandoned burial chamber, why the elaborate tunnels? Why carve passages into bedrock that lead nowhere? Why position it so deep when the burial chambers above are more accessible? French architect Gilles Dormion investigated this chamber in the 1980s. He detected voids beneath the floor, empty spaces under the bedrock. He proposed drilling to investigate. Egyptian authorities denied permission immediately. No drilling, no ground-penetrating radar, no investigation. Independent researchers believe the subterranean chamber connects to something deeper, tunnels extending under the Giza plateau, chambers carved in ancient times, a network beneath the pyramids. Evidence suggests this based on seismic readings and ground surveys. Edgar Cayce, controversial American psychic, claimed in 1934 that a hall of records exists beneath the Sphinx, connected to the pyramids by underground passages, containing records of an advanced civilization. He described its location, described the passages, described the chambers. Multiple expeditions have searched. Ground-penetrating radar shows anomalies. Seismic testing reveals voids. But Egyptian authorities block all excavation, deny all permits, shut down all investigation. The official reason? Protection of antiquities. The real reason? Unknown. The subterranean chamber remains largely unexplored. The passages remain unmapped. The voids beneath remain uninvestigated. What lies in the darkness under the pyramid stays hidden, protected by official secrecy, guarded against discovery. Researchers who push too hard get banned from Egypt, lose their permits, find their careers damaged. The message is clear. Some secrets stay buried. Some questions don't get answered. Some discoveries remain forbidden. The chamber exists. The passages exist. The voids exist. All documented, all measured, all confirmed by multiple technologies, but officially ignored, officially unexplained, officially unimportant. The pattern holds. Evidence that challenges established narratives gets suppressed. Discoveries that suggest unknown history get buried. The secrets beneath the pyramid remain protected. 10 secrets hidden inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. 10 instances where evidence was discovered and suppressed. 10 cases where official narratives fall apart under examination. The void detected by muon scanning that authorities refuse to investigate. The impossible precision that ancient tools cannot explain. The sealed shaft with its copper-handled door. The granite boxes that demonstrate advanced machining. The electromagnetic properties built into the structure. The water erosion that predates accepted chronology. The acoustic design that affects consciousness. The mathematical relationships that encode planetary dimensions. The construction methods that modern engineers cannot replicate. The subterranean chambers that remain unexplored. Each discovery challenges what we've been taught. Each piece of evidence suggests something more sophisticated than primitive tomb building. Each suppressed finding indicates knowledge that official archaeology doesn't want revealed. The pattern is undeniable. When discoveries threaten established narratives, they disappear. When researchers get too close to forbidden knowledge, their access ends. When evidence contradicts accepted history, it gets buried in classification and dismissal. Who benefits from keeping these secrets? Institutions that built careers on specific narratives. Organizations that control access to ancient sites. Authorities who determine what research gets approved and what gets banned. The evidence exists in measurements that can't be faked, in stone that can't be altered, in mathematical relationships that remain constant. Physical reality contradicts official explanations. But official explanations remain unchanged. The question isn't whether these discoveries happened. The documentation proves they did. The question is why they've been hidden, and what else remains buried beneath millennia of sand and secrecy. These 10 secrets represent just the beginning. Every pyramid contains anomalies. Every ancient site holds mysteries. Every forbidden chamber protects hidden knowledge. The more you examine official narratives, the more they crumble. The Great Pyramid stands as testimony to knowledge we don't understand. Technology we can't replicate. Precision we can't explain. It challenges human history, questions our assumptions, demands uncomfortable answers. The evidence has been presented, the patterns revealed, the secrets exposed, despite efforts to keep them hidden. What you believe is yours to decide. But remember this. They count on people accepting official stories without question. Count on researchers staying quiet when evidence contradicts narratives. Count on knowledge staying buried. Stay curious. Stay skeptical. The truth always emerges. Suppression works temporarily, but physical evidence breaks through. The Great Pyramid's secrets can't stay hidden forever. Not when they're built in stone, not when they're waiting to be discovered, not when enough people start asking the right questions.